Welcome back to another Silence to Shame podcast. It's your girl L.ife, and I'm super excited to be here. Yo, it's about motherhood, and y'all know I always talk about being a mother, but I have two beautiful mothers in the building today that I cannot wait for you guys to hear all of the great things that are going on in their households with their children and being a mother and just dealing with different generations of being in motherhood and the different generations you may have to raise within your household. I would now like to introduce our two guests that we're having today, Miss Katia Bowers and Miss Queen Garrett. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. All right, so y'all are on the Silence to Shame podcast. We're about to silence the shame about motherhood and the different generations that you're raising and you being in a different generation being a mother. So first, let's introduce ourselves. I'll start with Katia.
Hi.
Katia.
Yes. Hi, everybody. My name is Katia Bowers. I am actually married to a pastor. His name is Michael Bowers. We have 4 incredible kids. Michael, who is 11, Eli, who is 7, Riley, who is 5, and Kyla, who is 3 and driving me crazy. I work with teen mothers in the community, in the school system, and I love it. I love what I get to do.
Perfect. Queen.
Well, my name is Queen Garrett. I am the mother of 4 plus 1. And I say that because I never say 5, I always say 4 plus 1. But I have adult children. They are, I believe, 23, 24, 25, and 30. And then I also have a 3-year-old. So that is my plus 1. So,
Girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're going to get into that a little later.
Yeah,
but so, Katia, you work with teen mothers. Queen, I know that you have a background in social work and have been working with mothers along the line. Tell me a little bit about what it's like being a mother for you.
I love it. Honestly, it is hard. My gosh, it is hard, especially in a time where they're exposed to so much and there is a lot stripped from us as parents.
Right.
And if you're not ahead of the game, the world will teach your kids what you don't want them to know. And so that part for me is a little hard. But being a mother probably for me is one of the most rewarding roles I get to play. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like I only wanted 1 child. I don't know how I ended up with 4.
Somebody tripped over a few more.
Honey, tripped. But I'm loving it. I love it.
Good deal. Yeah. Queen, motherhood. I told y'all this is going to be a real special crew in here.
No, but really and truly, everything that she said is so on point because I am 49. Like I said, my children are, for the most part, adults.
Yeah.
And when they were very small, technology was not as far along. The exposure on the internet was not as far along as it is now and as it began to be over time. When they reached puberty, that's when everything started.
The world opened up.
Getting a whole bunch of exposure.
Yeah.
So it was a matter of staying ahead of the game, knowing what they would be exposed to before they got exposed to it. And that's a hard one to do because, I didn't realize how green I was.
Until they start coming to your doorstep.
Oh,
Come on.
Yeah, you try to protect them, but then you got my 12-year-old girl in the back seat telling me, so I was watching gay porn.
Right.
Oh, God.
And then it shifts.
Straight like that.
And then it shifts.
So I'm having to say, why were you watching that?
On what? With who?
Right.
Why were you watching that?
Who introduced you
A
to
friend
the
in
word?
school thought
On
it
the
was funny,
school bus.
sent her a link. She says, they sent me a link, so I watched it. I thought it was funny.
Because they don't realize, right.
Right?
That's real.
So,
Right.
But that exposure started so young. I'm talking about full on. I think I was just trying to understand homosexuality in general terms
Right.
much later than 12 years old. You know what I mean? But so because of those types of exposures, and I have to say these real incidents that occur because that's real.
That's
and
real.
It's real
Our
for
reality.
them.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a matter of having to respect our children where they are and what inside of what they're exposed to.
That is so true.
So,
You guys mentioned like you're sort of in two different realms of motherhood, right? Queen was finished and started over. Literally finished.
Worry about me. I ain't doing that.
that's
And
what I
then
thought.
Katia, you are in like this, they're all sort of around the same age. They'll start shifting out of the home at the same time. But both of you, well, Queen, you sort of have a different outlook. And this is about like the different generations that we're having to raise within this world, right? Queen, you started with your 30-year-old, there wasn't internet. Or it wasn't as exposed to the children as it is now. However, your children grew up with the internet at their fingertips with them. Right. However,
I had a pager
right.
when my 30-year-old was born.
I remember pagers.
So the difference,
Never had it.
and now your son knows, your 3-year-old knows how to navigate any device.
Probably better than we do.
Anything.
My 3-year-old tell you
That's
exactly
first
what to
language,
do. Right.
scrolling, browsing.
But you mentioned something earlier about that innocence being stripped, or the responsibility as a mother to be able to teach them about these worldly things. But now it's sort of like instant gratification. It's instantly in their faces.
Absolutely.
It's in every environment that they go in. You coming from a church home with your husband being a pastor. Queen, you come from a more non-traditional, I would say, practicing of Muslim. Most of your children were raised through the practice in a Muslim household. His name is Zen. She had to name him Zen, so he brought us Zen just to try to give him a little something.
How's that work?
Right? So,
This is new age.
but wait. It's not zenning, right? He's not zenning at all. But having that difference and knowing that you are stripped of that, what do you put in place so that you are still holding your adult children to still be as protected and supported in that realm as you are your teenage children, because they can get harmed just as quickly as the teenage
I love that
children.
you brought that up.
So how do we still keep their innocence, protect them, but still, because my mom raised us to be beasts. So we respect our elders, but you can't come in front of us like we're different beasts to battle.
That's right.
So how are you raising I don't want to call them beasts, but how are you raising them to be beast-like in this environment, but still be humble and pure souls, I would say?
Man, honestly, I've adopted a lot of the things my mother did. We have a lot of conversations in the household. Well, not quite. She talked about things, but we're very open with our kids even now. As far as technology is concerned, they're not allowed to have phones and tablets and all that stuff. They have them, we own them, but there's a lot of restrictions. And for example, my 3 oldest who are in elementary school, they can't have their tablets or phones until Friday afternoon. They have to turn them back in on Sunday.
Okay.
So they're limited to the time that they can be on it. There's a bunch of restrictions. Like I have to approve every website, every app, everything that they go on, because I just need to be in the know. I'm not trying to control my children, but they're children. And so for me, the best way to protect them is to be in the know of what they're being exposed to. And I don't want to be naive and think that, oh my gosh,
my kids are not going to do
Right. I know that when they get on that school bus, if there's another child with a phone, they're going to be exposed.
Yep.
So what do? We have conversations about it. I don't want my kids to feel uncomfortable about talking about sex. My 11-year-old is in 5th grade. He's going to middle school next year. I ain't no fool. We
gotta have it. We have to have it.
Are already thinking about it, talking about
having
it.
those feelings inside.
Right.
You got to be
Let's
able to
talk
speak
about
about. Well, that many times we think they're not going to have those feelings, but
It starts.
It's youth development.
It is.
Every human is going to go through this development phase, and you've got to teach them what those feelings are and how to deal with them so that they don't misuse them or anyone else
But
trying
let
to get
them
them
know
out.
that
But
it's
let them know
okay.
it's okay to have these feelings.
This is a normal part
Yes.
of your journey. This is a normal part of growing up and
And
things like that. So,
Parents need to recognize it's normal
yeah.
and stop.
My mom, there was a lot of shame.
Stop shaming and shielding.
There was a lot of
Shaming and shielding.
I grew up in the church.
Yeah, but it's a different. But and I'm glad you grew up in a church to know that you didn't want to raise your children in that type of church environment. Queen, she's like, no, I'm not doing. My mama, yeah, we're not going there. Queen,
I really like that you brought up the adult children. How do you continue to raise the adult children? Because I was raised in the same environment of beast mode.
mm-hmm.
And I'm still struggling with this because it's something that I'm watching my older children go through. And that is I am very comfortable with confrontation.
Yeah, me too.
I raise my children very comfortable with confrontation.
Mm-hmm.
They're not worried about that. They're not backing down. They got their shoulders squared off and they're ready for you. However, I think that I could have done, had I been shown a little different, to teach them to be a little bit more comfortable with vulnerability.
Yeah.
So that was something that I'm toggling with right now. It's difficult to teach and to demonstrate safety in vulnerability in such a tough world.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, I am aware that in order to save and support and guide the sanctity of their own mental health, you got to be vulnerable.
That's right.
You have to find a space that you can be vulnerable in. And I did have the luxury of having a supportive family and supportive sisters. Definitely my cousins, an extension of myself and my siblings. Because I would say to my children, I did say, if you are not comfortable coming to me,
That's right.
You have
These are
these
the
people.
This is your village.
and I'm not choosing your person,
Yeah.
but you choose your person, and that is your person because I have the luxury also of having a trustworthy
Yeah.
supportive family. So
Because that's
I
a
could
difference.
say,
That makes a difference. It makes a difference because our family is, you can't trust everybody with your,
no different than
like,
people in the street.
like literally. And you've got to understand that if your child is going to be vulnerable, you need them to be able to support them in that vulnerability
Right. So
and
that
not
was
lead
the
them down the
luxury.
wrong way.
Able
Yeah.
to say you choose your support person out of this group.
Right.
What
Out
you
of
and
this
that
group.
person do.
Out of this group, though.
Right.
We got a big old group.
We have a large group.
And
yeah.
it was a very open and loving group, and my children
Yeah.
were attached to people in that group. So you choose your person that you're already attached to.
Yeah.
And what you guys talk about, I'm able to say can remain confidential.
Well,
because
until
I
they come to
trust.
Ife's house.
Well, yeah, this one here.
Well, you have
Calling
to.
your mama.
So not only I don't call mamas. If you're at my house and you feel open enough to be vulnerable to me, you have to know that I'm not going to lead you wrong, but I'm not going to sugarcoat
I know
anything.
that's right.
I'm going to give you the real deal that your parents probably don't want me to say, but they're so glad I said it in the end. But they're going to be like, did you have to say it that way?
got
I'm
an
like, you
aunt like
sent them,
that.
you
I love
sent them
her.
over there. Like, you have to love her.
Yes,
You sent them, you trusted me to pick them up,
Yes.
drive them in my car, take them to my home, feed them. But you know who I am as a person, right? But you trust me to know she ain't gonna say it quite like I wanted to, but she got them.
get
She
it.
good. They good. They good. Don't come home saying what you learned over there, but they good. Don't use that word.
Sometimes, even with that, like, they come back saying, she said something. But it was a good conversation.
It's a good segue
starter.
for the right,
Yeah.
Very good conversation starter.
right.
So,
Good. This is good for me.
but the other reason why I was very happy to hear you mention adult children, and I don't want to go too far in the deep end, but this is Silence the Shame.
Mm-hmm.
So in undergrad, I did undergrad at UC Santa Barbara. Most of the people there came from affluent two-parent households. I probably had 4 or 5 tight girlfriends in college. I won't say their names, but so I had 4 tight girlfriends. 3 of those 4, one was the only child. The other 3 were the eldest in their household. They had younger siblings. In those composites, each of them had a younger brother. These are the women I went to college with.
Right.
Once we graduated and were living our lives, had our children, each of them in this small target group had a younger brother who in his 20s committed suicide.
Oh, wow.
We don't see it going there. We don't see that being the outcome of that story. No. And I did not see that being the outcome of these.
Of our lives.
But it's got to be that there was
There was no space for them to be vulnerable.
Safe. And in different scenarios.
Different
One
backgrounds.
struggling with sexuality and dating. One doing very well in most things, but where he hit a wall and felt like he was failing.
Is when he failed.
He couldn't take that.
Mm-hmm.
And the other was young failed marriage, and he couldn't take that.
I'm going to sit right there, right? Because that's where I wanted to shift this conversation, because we don't realize the toll it takes on a mother's mental health when being pregnant, when having the baby, when losing your identity and now you're a mother. The mental health of the children. You had a child at 19. So what does that do for the children when you're a young parent? You're sort of raising each other, but you're an older parent raising children in a world that they want to be of this world. And what does that do for both of you? So tell me I'm going to ask 2 questions, one for you and one for your children. What are you doing to support your mental health? What type of self-care opportunities or tips and tools do you utilize to stay one with yourself, not as a mother, one as yourself? Because we lose ourselves in motherhood. We think that is that road never shuts off once we become it. Once you're a mother, you never cannot be a mother. Even in your passing on into the next life, that's still my mother, right? What do you do for your self-care, and what type of things do you put in place to support your children's mental health? So that's a twofold. I'll let both of you answer the first for yourself, and then I'll go for what are you doing to support your children's mental health? Because many of the children that both of you are raising are in a generation that does not necessarily see mental health as being what we know mental health to be. And they don't have the beast-like mode to turn on and off or take off the mask, so they hold a lot of things in. So one, self-care and mental health for yourself, and then we'll go to self-care and mental health for your children.
For me, the number one thing I have learned to accept and be okay with is going to therapy.
Thank you.
Faithfully.
Thank you.
Like, I'm not going to let my mom shame me. I'm not going to let anyone make me feel like because I speak to somebody that there's something wrong with me, or because I'm a Christian, I'm not praying enough. Because, baby.
Oh, you get it, I'm sure.
Oh, I've gotten it.
Yeah.
And you can love Jesus and seek therapy. You can pray.
He gave them a talent.
He gifted them with the ability to be able to speak into certain things or see patterns that we don't always see. Just like he gave doctors and nurses abilities to treat.
Exactly.
And so I'm going to hone in on that and take full advantage of that. My parents are from Haiti. And so not only am I dealing with a lot of generational
culture,
things, I'm dealing with some deep rooted cultural
stigmas,
issues, all kinds of things. I feel like it's only been in the past maybe 10, 15 years that the word therapy has become a
normal
part of our vocabulary, especially from our culture.
Yes.
And so for me, like, seeking therapy is huge. Talking about things is huge. I have an incredible support system. Like you said, my 2 girlfriends that are just my writers. Like, I can tell them anything. We could talk about anything, and there's no shame. We all believe in different things. We all see the world through different eyes, but we still support one another and respect each other. And I love that I have that space. But when it comes to like self-care, I think that's an area that I could definitely do better in. I try to get away. I love to go out to eat and, things like that, have new experiences and stuff. But with 4 little ones, it's really hard.
Yeah.
Like, my husband and I are like, we're going to just have like at-home date night every night. Just like on the
I love that. I love that.
Because we can't really go nowhere.
Yeah. But you still made time and space.
Yeah. So we're making time for each other. And sometimes I just have to go sit on my sunroom, sunroom, and just have that time for myself. And that's, for right now in this season, in this phase of life, the best I can do. And so I hold on to that.
I love that. Mine is my closet.
Yeah, Gary, it used to be until the Lord blessed us with a house. I said, thank you, God, that I can sit in there.
When I'm in that closet, they know not to touch her, not to say, just let her come out. Right. If you knock on the door, it's going to be way worse than you just let her sit still. Just write it down.
I'll leave if I need to. I'll go take a walk. I've learned some great coping through therapy, and that have just really carried me. And for my kids, man, we are raising them to be vocal, to be vulnerable. We tell our boys all the time, It's okay to cry.
I love that.
It's what you do
Yes.
in your anger
Yes.
that matters.
Yes.
And so if you're having a moment and you need to go to your room, like my 7-year-old is amazing at this. We'll say, Eli, what's wrong? What's going on? And he'll say, I don't want to talk about it yet. And my mom will flip out like, I know he did. And I'm like, well, that's his right.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, well, what do you need in this moment? And he'll say, I just want to go lay down. I just want to go sit in my room. And he'll go in there, take his time, take his space, and he himself will come back to me and say, can we talk about it? And then we'll talk about it.
That's wonderful.
And I'll let him know there's still discipline.
Yeah.
There's still things that need to happen. Like, hey, Eli, I'm glad that you took some time to like think through this and whatever. But what happened was your earlier response was not okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to address that now that you're calm, now that you know that you're, whatever. Like, we are big on talking because I was very silenced as a child.
I love that.
And in the workplace, I let people run over me.
Yeah.
In my relationships, I let men run over me. And I'm just not raising children to feel like they can't open their mouth.
I love that. I love that. Queen. I don't even write. I don't know.
It was very much two-part, though, as far as taking care of yourself, your own mental health.
Yeah.
And what I realized is I kind of was forced into a position where I had to take care of myself. My background was social work. I was taking care of families and children, and I had my 4 young children at home, and I had my husband. And so I was a caretaker for everything and everyone. Mm-hmm. And then at 32 years old, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Wow. Out of nowhere, no predispositions, no extensive family history. That just wasn't a thing. But it brought everything to a screeching halt. Yeah. And it says, hey, girl,
if you don't,
all that stuff you got going on,
don't take a nap.
Ain't even going to matter if you don't get this taken care of. Right. So I literally, full on break, a bill collector could call and I would laugh.
Yeah, it's not today. Because not today.
It's not your time, right? Anybody can call. It's not your time.
Good.
Yeah.
And I literally took that space for myself. And some of that was a trauma response to finding that out in that way. But I really put everything on hold, stopped working, put everything on hold and said, my task, my job is to take care of myself and make it through this. Luckily, I had the social work background where I never thought for a moment I can't do this because my thing was in any trauma, like with the families I was working with, give me my plan.
You can make it through.
Let me get this plan. What's
my
plan?
Steps? What's my steps? Let me check them down,
right?
Let
me finish all these little, and then we ought to be good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I did it. That's how I saw it. I looked at it as a plan, and I had to deeply embed self-care in that plan. Yeah. Now, coming out of that experience, because I'd been frightened so by that health scare, because it was full on. It was, it wasn't everything with us is typically aggressive,
right.
As was that. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I had to go through a lot with that. But in putting myself back together, the self-care component was major.
Yeah.
So I dove into eating right, relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
I love working out in the gym.
Mm. Oh, she was a gym rat.
Love working out in the gym, and I'm back in there now. So y'all watching what. But what I notice now about my children is that because I would also involve them in the parts of those things that they would enjoy. So they love going to sit by the ocean. Mm-hmm. They learn to eat right. And make their own dietary decisions. So in my house, we were fixing 4 different meals at a time because
literally,
I'm pescatarian, I'm vegan.
Yes.
One of them was like, you bring it all to me. And
just give me all the meat.
You know what I mean? So, but watching them as young adults now, I'm watching them employ those same techniques.
That's awesome. Yeah.
My Wednesday, my daughter Wednesday stays in the gym. She's full vegan.
Each has a piece of it.
Different ways. Mm-hmm. So, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan says the mother is the co-creator. Mm-hmm. The mother is writing on the brain. And that never stops. That's in utero, and that's all the way up to my 30-year-old now who calls me for advice on everything. But it was also my 30-year-old now in their adulthood to help me protect my own mental health because dealing with adult children.
Mm-hmm. No.
Who big enough now.
right.
But so it's not to turn to that. In my frustrations, my 30-year-old son came to me. He said, listen, you have poured into us. Mm-hmm. You have done absolutely.
You've laid the foundation.
All that you could to the best
do.
of your abilities. You used everything you had.
Yep.
Despite what you were given.
Mm-hmm.
despite all those things, this is what my eldest told me. You did everything you can, and you cannot worry about how it was received.
That's big.
Hard.
That's big.
Hard.
Yeah, because you want them. You think they received it how you gave it.
Right.
You know.
No.
Right. He said,
I laid this out perfectly for you to receive it this way.
He
He's
said,
like,
you did your best. You can't worry about how it was received. You have to find peace in knowing
that I did it. You did it. That's all you can do.
And when my child gave me that permission.
To let go.
That's freedom right there.
Let go.
Best.
That's it. It's no more.
Honestly, because we forget as mothers that, like, although we are their greatest influence, there are other influences too.
Yeah.
And
that
they
are coming in.
They themselves are influencing themselves.
Yes.
Like these are individual. This is an individual that we're trying to make be something that's already something.
Yes,
they're already
God
something. They're already something. We can only just give them a shell around it to support who they already are. Ladies, you guys have spoke on mental health with yourselves and mental health for your children. Any advice for mothers, young mothers? Mothers who have come back into motherhood.
Well, I just thinking about my son and waiting for him to become an adult to hear that.
That's it.
My ask of other mothers and younger mothers is to take that permission now.
Yeah.
You have the permission to say, I've done my best. And the outcomes aren't looking like what I would have had. But what looks like?
Whose is it? Yes, nothing's perfect.
They see the effort. You're doing your best. You're laying the groundwork. And what they do with that, they're going to stumble. They're going to fall. They'll be okay.
That's life.
They are.
And you have to allow them to do that.
Yes, that's part of the growing process. And I would tell mothers that mental health is absolutely a real thing. Postpartum is absolutely real. And there's no time limit on postpartum.
No.
People think you're going to go through postpartum for 6 months, maybe a year. Or my baby will be a year and everything will be fine. No, you could be dealing with that for 3+ years, 4 years. Some people never stop
let go of it.
dealing with it because they never addressed it. And so I'm saying now to mothers, especially with mothers with very young kids, it is absolutely okay to let that baby cry and take a minute. It's okay to walk away. It's okay to take a day. It is okay. Do not let mom guilt control you and consume you. You are human and you deserve a minute to breathe. It's all right.
It's all right.
It's all right.
It's going to be all right.
It's going to be all right. I would
another
force
day,
myself.
another dollar. Yes, it's going to be all right.
It's okay.
I wish people understood the journey of motherhood prior to getting into motherhood. Yeah. Because even when you're in the journey, you can't even see past where you are. I tell my children all the time, and excuse my English, I know how to write and I know English, is be where your feet at. Be where your feet at.
Be present.
Be present. That's it. Because that's all you can control right now. You can't control what happened already. It's happened. And you can't control what's coming ahead of you. It's already coming. But you can control right now. You can control your feelings. You can control your reaction and responses. You can control your environment. Your environment is your circle. Having a support circle, having a support team. Mothers need support. Mothers need a support team. You cannot, there's not a book written out here, but you can't do it alone.
No.
You need a support team. You need a therapist. Were you in crisis when you received therapy, or did you decide to receive therapy because?
Before that, I just felt like I was turning into my mom. Sorry, Mom.
She loves you.
I love you. And because I love you, I'm getting help for my children.
Hello.
It started off just like not liking who I was becoming as a mother.
So you saw yourself turning into your mom.
I was like, oh God, these cycles are repeating themselves. These are the things I said I would never do, never be. So therapy came out of that, wanting a better relationship with my husband and wanting just a more well-rounded relationship with my children that was very one-sided. And I was like, this is not going to work. And I just thank God that He gave that to me early on. Crisis did come because I didn't realize how
deep it was. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
I found myself having to enroll myself into a mental health institution. There's a lot of stigma and a lot of things that come with that, but it was the best thing I could have ever done.
Sometimes you have to reset.
And it was a great reset.
Yeah, sometimes you have to do that.
Judge another person that has, and I just never will see it the same, because it was one of the best experiences I've ever gone through, and it's something that I continue to carry with me. Like what I learned about myself, what I learned about behavior, what I learned about response, and when I look at my kids and I'm talking to my kids and they give me a response, I'm like,
oh, not today. I'm going to use my skills.
Yeah.
She's
overwhelmed.
And I'm not going to respond to her.
Yeah.
I'm not going to add to that. That's big.
That my mom
That's big.
Agitate me
and make it even. So I'm learning that with my 16-year-old daughter.
Oh, man.
And we're both Virgo, so we're both the same times. We were talking about this earlier, but we have similarities.
Yes.
She's a September Virgo. I'm an August Virgo. We're sweeter.
Leo.
We're sweeter. But right now, I'm learning that the more I book, she bucks harder.
The worse they get.
It's like
they like us. They don't want to back
well, that's
down.
the thing. That's the thing. I've taught her not to back down, but now she's using it against me, and I'm like, girl, you don't know your mama other side, do you?
Right.
But they know the other side. But she's getting to a point where she's got to learn how to control.
It's the best time.
She's got to learn how to control that. I've got to learn how to control it. Our environment has to be a control setting. But ladies, motherhood is rewarding. Motherhood can be painful. Motherhood can be anxious. Motherhood can be sad. But it's motherhood. And we wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah.
I have 2, 4 + 1, 4, and I shut my down way before they did, but it's okay. I think without having them, I would have lost a piece of who I was supposed to be in this world.
Oh, I love that. That's so well said.
It would still be on its way because it was destined
Eventually.
to be, but you were going to be who you are. I wanted to make a point about the book, if we had a parenting book or if we had a way to prep. The thing is, even as a mother, I'm a different mother to each child.
Yes.
Oh, that's
and that
a good
is
piece.
because I respect
That's a good
their
piece.
uniqueness, and they require a different.
They
response
require,
from me.
yes.
You got your sensitive kids. You have your overachievers. I have this kid that's super academic. This kid that's super artsy. Like, I just got everything all wrapped up in this one house.
And how many personalities do you have to be?
Okay.
And one
So
of the
that's
children-
the
my daughter would
difference,
say- one of my
like-
daughters would say, "Well, you you treat her different."
Oh.
And my answer quickly is
You're different. You require different.
exactly.
Right.
Do you?
You
wanna be
require
treated
different.
like everybody else?
Like,
Right. Because you probably couldn't even handle that.
You couldn't.
honestly.
You don't even want me talking.
You don't even want me
like
talking
that.
to you like that. You don't want nobody
So-
yelling at you.
So yeah, you're a different mom inside of that.
that's
one
that
house.
nucleus.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Ooh, we some super women, some superheroes.
And then in the workplace, oftentimes we have to pretend none of what we just spoke
Is
about
going
is
on.
happening.
Yeah.
I'm working on that. But
This is
again,
not even
this is not
happening.
even, and it's happening so hard because in the back of your head, you're like, I got to go to soccer practice. Oh, my teacher just called me. Oh, I forgot to pick up a poster board. Oh, what's for dinner tonight?
Her
Oh,
cycle
what's
just
for lunch
started at
tomorrow?
school with
Her
ear
cycle just
prepared.
started with ear prepared. She wore white pants. I told her not to wear the white pants. It's like the chaos in our head. People will
It's
never
never ending.
It's never ending, and we're literally doctors of multitasking.
Yeah. Literally.
Literally
I wear
that
about 20 different hats in
on a
day.
daily basis. On a daily basis.
It's insane.
And I keep adding hats like I'm crazy.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning.
Not crazy, but y'all know. I'm
working
learning.
on
We're working
saying
on that
no.
in this. I'm going into my soft girl, but I don't know how to be soft.
And I told my mother that. I said, "This is go." I told my sister told my mother. And my sister said, "Queen says this is her soft season," and my mother said, "Don't do that."
Why?
Wisdom says, "Keep your head on a swivel."
Hello.
That's what
We don't need to be soft
But
at
really,
no time.
I was really surprised about her response. And at first, I thought, "What a trauma response." That's what I thought at first,
Yeah.
and then I went through some things. I was like, "Oh shit, let me."
Let me
Let me get myself together.
Right.
She don't want to see.
It's
she
not
don't want a
time
soft
to
person.
relax all the way, especially
Yeah.
when we are still in
We're still raising.
lioness mode
Yeah.
with these young adults.
Well, it don't look like we're coming out of it because my mama is still in line this mode
Yeah.
at 75.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
never, it's because then it goes into your grandchildren and your great grandchildren
Yeah.
and on and on.
It's
So it's just
generational.
generation. But we're breaking those curses.
Yeah.
we're
You're
doing
breaking
that
those
better.
curses and we're breaking. We're not standing on the business that we were taught.
Right.
We're learning new
Like when
business
I hear
to
people
stand
say,
on.
"I don't have time for gentle parenting," please at least let that be the goal.
Yeah.
And the fact that we have to label it gentle parenting.
Right. What could be so wrong about being gentle with
your
your child?
You don't want them to be soft in this world.
The world is going to be hard enough.
Yeah. Then that's what they need to know.
Right.
That this is a place that you can be soft and vulnerable in. You can be as soft as you need to be.
It's not saying that you can't discipline your children. Discipline can happen, but in love. And I think a lot of times we discipline our children out of all this anger, resentment, also projection.
And it's not from us. It's from us.
Yeah,
it's from us. That's it.
Our emotions, our things. You're not going to do this. You're not going to do that. I done went through this. It's like, okay, but they also have their own journey that they have to progress on, on as well. And you being like so like hard on them, you're stifling them.
All of that.
You don't give them the opportunity to explore. And what are we doing? We're doing them a disservice when we're just like so hard on our kids and stressing them out and forcing them to be something that they may not be or ever embrace.
Ever embrace. Ever wanted to be.
When I come across a liar in adulthood, I always think, ooh, that childhood must have been tough.
Your parent.
For you to feel like you have to operate like that.
Mm-hmm. Right. That must have been really tough. And that's not what I'm not trying to create liars, or people who are uncomfortable or think that they have to manipulate the environment in that way. So allow them the freedom to express themselves.
Well, I told y'all we could be here for hours.
I know.
I have to stop it at this point. Like this, I have to.
Yeah.
But and this is so good. There's so much more that we could say. I told you, Queen and Katia.
Yeah, that's right.
We're going to give you what you needed. And it was just a little snippet because as you can see, motherhood is a multifaceted world, a multifaceted deal, role to have. But we want to make sure that you're supported as a mother, but as an individual before you became a mother, because you are an individual before you become a mother, but you realize that as you become a mother, you become another individual. But don't lose sight of who you first were, but make sure you hold tight to who you're supposed to be. So again, thank you, ladies. Any last words of wisdom for the mothers on this Mother's Day weekend?
Ooh.
So many things. Love yourself. It's okay to love yourself. It's not selfish
to
love yourself and give things of yourself and sacrifice for yourself.
That's it.
Like, I just want to embrace that and not, feel guilty for wanting to do things for me.
Yeah.
And I would just want to co-sign that because if you don't take care of number one,
that's right. it.
And you drive in the vehicle, all your passengers are at risk. These babies are at risk. Right. You're not taking care of you.
Right.
Everybody's in worse shape. Yeah. So take care of number one.
Take care of number one.
Remember, you are number one.
You're number one.
Yeah.
And they're watching. You taking care of yourself is teaching them to do the same.
Empowers them to do the same. That's right.
Exactly.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. Words of wisdom from two beautiful mothers. As I mentioned, always take time to yourself and make sure that you're always in tune with who you are. They said it, and it's in our tagline. It's always take time, free your feels, save a life, and silence the shame. And don't forget to donate by texting silence to 707070. And then on all platforms, go like, comment, share, and subscribe to the Silence the Shame podcast. We'll see y'all next time.